do, as apparently we just ran the last 24 minutes without any audio whatsoever. So let's try this again. I'm looking over. We do have audio this time. Sorry about that. We also fixed the delay. Lots of problems. For whatever reason, OBS decided to reset all the settings, which is always fun. Joining me today is going to be Aaron Hockey, my co-host.
Hello again.
Yeah, and for a guest, we are going to be having Joseph Rudy from Coker College, and
Hello.
and Patrick Ocampo from Missouri Valley College on with us.
Hello again.
Again, yeah. All right, yeah, totally haven't done this before. So yeah, I guess just to give everybody a recap, I mean, we talked about this, but only we could have heard. So we'll try this one more time. I know nobody heard this, so we'll just pretend your answers didn't happen before. So the first thing I had asked before we discovered this audio issue and had to reset the stream was, the esports programs within colleges. There's no denying, they're new. Any esport program you look at right now, whether they're established or not, whether it's UCLA's that has a whole lab already, or you look at somebody with a newer program that, they're all new, relatively. So what we want to talk about today and really focus on is the recruitment side of things and the opportunities within colleges. So I guess just starting out, we'll just go down the list, starting with Joseph. Can you just give us a little summary of your recruitment and how it works, a bit of your process? And just your recruitment process.
All right, so what we're doing right now is we are a new program, and sadly we don't have the structure of a prior club in order to kind of piggyback off of. So we're building completely from scratch. So what we've been doing is we got word out to the rest of the students that are already on campus that might have an interest. And we've been getting a few decent results here, some pretty good players that we're hoping to build a team from. And now we're looking to get more players in order to add on to make our team as best as it possibly can be. We're looking for players that are going to be able to compete well, but we're also looking for people who are just passionate about the esports scene, that if they aren't going to be on the main roster, they're still going to be interested in sticking around, be it helping with coaching, statistics, analysts, or even just doing stuff like broadcasting and commentating. We're really looking for an all-around sort of field, because we realize that there's a lot of things outside of college afterwards. Some of these players do have dreams of becoming a pro player, while some maybe they want to be a pro streamer, or maybe they want to get inside the broadcasting side of things and kind of be a behind-the-scenes kind of person. So there's a lot of different avenues for these students, and we kind of want to give them all the support that we can.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, we're pretty much following a similar model. We actually last week had a meeting of any of the students that were interested in esports that were already on campus, and we began by talking about actually establishing a gaming club, so they would be able to play in our new facilities, which are just being built right now. We broke ground on those actually yesterday. But prior to that, a lot of the recruitment process was just simply, going online and looking for opportunities and networking with other schools that already have established programs. A lot of our recruits are actually coming from the high school esports league, as a matter of fact, at this point. So you guys have been very helpful in terms of establishing that. With our program, we're definitely looking to recruit quality players, but we're also hoping to recruit developing players as well to come and play at Moval, with the idea that we're probably going to be competing on several different tiers or different levels at that point. It's actually been an interesting process. There's not a lot of structure out there right now for recruitment, so a lot of this we're kind of making up as we go. As a matter of fact, we're just fortunate that we found you guys, because we've gotten a lot of really good responses from you.
Great.
Are you looking at Twitch chat too?
Yeah, I'm looking at Twitch chat. Go for it. You can do it.
All right, yeah. So we do have two questions. We'll start out with the first one. This is going to be from Adam Ant Gamer on our Twitch chat. So he wants to know, what do the college people need to see from high school players and from high school programs? I assume he's looking and talking about their esports programs.
At least what I have been looking at so far from these students is a lot of, like, the two main factors I see is, of course, their skill level, of course, how well they're going to be able to play the game. That's going to be the big aspect of it. But one thing that I'm also looking for is experience. Have they had any sort of team play and experience in that? Like, if are coming from hey, I've already played with this group of 5. We actually had practices twice a week. We did it in this certain room. We had a coach back as us. That's going to really let me, like, okay, if they come into our program, this is not going to be something completely new to them. They're going to have this past experience to fall back on.
All right, and then just a second question to follow up on that one that he had. Patrick, do you have anything to say on that, or?
If the question was, what do we want to see from high school esports programs, then I would say we want to see the students actually and the organizers take it as seriously as they do any other varsity program in high school. We want when we're looking for players, of course, like Joseph said, we want players that have got good team experience, that hopefully have had some good coaching, through their high school years. We find that the biggest problem, or one of the biggest hurdles that we have with gamers, is that a lot of them tend to play online as individuals, and it's a very different environment from actually playing either in a room or even just with a bunch of friends regularly and trying to actually get better as a team.
And you even hear that from professional players. I've seen a lot of, I'll reference Counter-Strike because I follow Counter-Strike pretty much the only esport I follow heavily, is that like you will see these teams be fantastic online, but these you get these tier 2, tier 3 teams. They put them down in the LAN environment where you actually have them sitting together with their team. You may have spectators, you may not. Either way, it is a mind game sitting in that room, and you really do have to have the mental strength to be able to sit there and get through it without either getting scared or getting too excited and trying to be the star. So there is a mental part of it to playing with your team, sitting in the same room together, versus being a pug star sitting behind your screen in your bedroom.
Actually, I had an interesting conversation with the coach from Columbia College, Drake Porter. He told me that your team's worst games will be the ones that they play live in front of an audience. But fortunately, everybody else's worst game will be the games that they play live in front of an audience, because everybody will be equally nervous.
Yep.
So,
yeah, no, that's completely expected. I mean, it's really the same way with just standard high school sports right now. You put these kids in where there's not necessarily many people watching them, maybe some kids from their school or the opposing school. You'll see these teams that will get to big national tournaments or whatever it may be. A lot of them, not all of them, but some of them will, you'll see some of these kids or some of these teams start to break under the pressure, where instead of having 10 or 15 people watching them, you have hundreds of people watching them. I know that happens a lot where I'm from, for my high school's from. The public high school, and we have always, pretty much every year, makes it to the finals, and they play in the MetLife Stadium, I think it is. I don't even know. They play in a massive stadium. The stadium pretty much fills. And you'll see teams and some of these players really start to crack under pressure. And it's really the same way with esports. You put these kids and maybe some spectators from the school and going up to some massive tournaments, that they make some finals of whatever tournament it may be. If they end up at a LAN, you're going to have a lot of people watching, and that will, it does get to the head. And then, just before we get too far off topic here, just a extension to his to Adam's question here. He asks, what can a high school program do to help our players get an upper hand in getting recruited? And this is a moderator for one of the programs at West Catholic High School in Michigan.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say what I would expect to be one of the best things that they could do is besides just coming directly to these schools and going to the head coaches or the directors, that's going to really help get your players noticed. But another big thing is getting them out there on a lot of these websites. There's like esportsrecruiting.com or .org, I forget which one it is, and Be Recruited. Those are two websites that are that most of these schools are looking at to find players. So if you tell them, hey, go onto these pages, create a profile, these guys will find you. And just another way to kind of those players, if we see that there's a school backing them and they have a lot of this experience working with a structured team, that's something that really shows that high school, they have this support behind them, and they're going to take it seriously in college too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I agree completely. I mean, if you really want your students as high school organized, if you want your students to be recruited, then you need to adopt the same strategies that any other varsity sport, any other high school sport actually adopts. You need to make contact with the colleges that have programs. I mean, if you directly to whoever posted that. I'm not looking at the feed right now, but the best thing to do is contact us. Let us know that you're out there and that you want to have your students scouted, because we've been trying it the other way. We talked about that earlier. We've been trying it the other way, where we've been trying to get a hold of the supervisors. We get a lot of requests from students, but we don't hear a lot from their staff advisors. And trying to contact their staff advisors, I got a list from Aaron actually a few weeks ago, and out of those advisors, I got one email back, and I have not heard anything since. And that, to me,
Wow,
I think
that's all?
biggest block. That is the biggest block to getting your students the opportunity to play esports, and more importantly, to get scholarships. I mean, I know Joseph's school is offering scholarships, so are we, and they're great scholarships right now, because we want these programs, we want our programs to bring students. So, if you're a student, if you're a teacher, advisor, or if you're a player, a student player, and you're listening to this, please have your supervisors, your staff advisors contact us, or at least respond to our email, so we can get out there and get you guys in.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Hits the nail on the head there. Join our Discord.
Does help.
If you're an organizer,
does help.
request to join the organizers Discord and join our high school organizers community. That is going to be tremendously helpful for you. Reach out to the recruiters there that we have on there. We're constantly growing our recruiter pool. We want every college that offers a program on our Discord, and that's going to be our goal. We're working very closely with NACE. Get on, be recruited. Be recruited is going to be a great platform. They're doing tremendous steps, working greatly with NACE, and that's going to be a great website. Get your students on it.
Yeah, highly recommend it. I'm not sure how much Patrick is doing, but I can tell you, at least my standpoint, I'm trying to use everything I can, be it social media, be it Discord servers, and these websites. The website just Be Recruited is probably going to be one of the easiest ways to find it, just because it's already out there. We could see everything we need to. But even just contacting directly, almost any any director will come back to you within that day and want to talk to you about your student. We're not gonna be like, oh, we're not interested because we already have a team. No, we're still looking for a lot of schools. They're looking for their 18 to start out their first season, and other schools, they're looking for B, C teams so that they could develop those players to potentially be the best they possibly can.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's move on to something else. We talked about this before the first cut of the podcast got thrown away, but I wanted to touch on actual esports programs besides the actual sports aspect, the educational aspect. What are you guys doing at your school to promote maybe a major in esports, minor in esports, or a certificate program, kind of like what UCI is doing now?
We kind of talked about this earlier, like he said, but here at Coker, we just started talking about this, so there's not much from us as of now, but we have a program that we call Interdisciplinary Studies, and what that basically means is that they could combine a couple majors into a major that we might not have on campus. For example, I know some students are doing, I think it's communications and business with a mix of PE credits to be like sports journalists and stuff along that line. So we're going to be doing that as well with like communications, business, computer science, anything that we could really use to combine it in order to get anything like an esports degree, be it commentating, be it broadcasting, like behind the scenes. We even have like some photography majors as well, so we're going to combine with that, maybe be a cameraman specifically for esports or a professional observer. There's a lot out there that we're looking to help you with. We do have programs coming up in the future that we just started talks about.
Yep. And just real quick, one thing I did want to bring into this while we're still close to the topic of scholarships and stuff like that. Alpaca in our Twitch chat just asked, if I sign a contract with an org as an underage player, what if I want to get a scholarship to college and decide not to play pro? So I know that right now with NCAA and I can't even
NAIA.
NAIA.
I cannot. My school's NAIA. I can't even say it. Thank you. So I know those two have rules against amateurism and stuff like that. So is there anything right now with if they have a current contract or had a contract within X amount of time, will that prevent them from getting any sort of scholarship within an esports program, at least within your schools as of right now?
That I'm actually not 100% sure on. I know if we were NCAA certified and they were all aboard in the esports hype, then we wouldn't be able to, just because they would be considered professional if they were signing a contract and getting money through that way. But since the NCAA is not in esports at all, we are our own varsity program, we just have to deal with the school. That might just be a school-by-school basis then at that point. I didn't talk to the administrator about this. It's actually something that hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, because that's
I'll have to look into.
Because I know that's something we've discussed in HSEL, and that's something we actually implemented to further define within our rules. We're actually not allowing professional players to enter the league as of the upcoming season, just because we are promoting amateurism within our league. But the question is, if these kids, his question is, he had signed a contract theoretically to go pro. He decided he didn't want to go pro, and he wants to potentially get a scholarship. And most of the time when schools aren't bringing in or signing players who were contracted is because of the NCAA and NAIA regulations. So it would be interesting to see whether or not schools would be allowing students to come in, play on the teams, and get scholarships when there really are no regulations at all for esports across college right now. It's really it is fair game for whoever wants to do it. I know NAIA has shown a lot of interest and NCAA has started to show interest, but right now there's really no regulatory body.
Well, a couple of things that are sort of to that question. Number one, you're right. There is no regulatory body involved yet. And so that question actually might be a good question for NACE, since they seem to be providing the most support at the moment. But that being said, I think there's going to be a really strong conflict between some of the esports, especially I know with League of Legends, because Rift does not want to give up control of it. Riot doesn't want to give up control of it at all. So they are not. They're not gonna. They run all the leagues. They run all the broadcasts right now. They're not gonna want to give it up to the NCAA or NAIA or anybody at that point. And I think from a gaming perspective, at least, as long as our schools provide that, as long as our schools set down, strict rules with regards to eligibility, grades and that sort of thing, I think that could provide some good opportunities. Whether or not someone who signed a professional contract can get a scholarship, that really is something that we would have to run by NACE, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's not an issue with NACE as of now. But probably in the future, that's something that's going to be changing, especially when the NCAA enters the scene. And they will definitely want to implement strict amateurism and make
that
sure
is
that...
a fight I do not want to watch. That is going to be a brutal fight. Riot. That's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, and that's
they're 5 years out at least from doing something with the NCAA. And probably by that time, the collegiate scene will be definitely a lot more solidified. Just how far it's come so far in just the past 2 years, it's mind-boggling.
Well, that is
it's going to be a little bit longer for the NCAA to step in, and once they get more of their schools starting esports programs, because a lot of their schools are public schools too, and there's not a lot of public schools stepping into the space. UCI is definitely the big one that's started doing their esports stuff, and that's just because of the geographic location. They're right by all the developers. They're pretty much next door to Blizzard. So once we start seeing the public get on board with it and the government system. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's going back to the same user who just asked that question. He's saying he is a semi-professional Rainbow Six player. He said I'm probably going to end up signing a contract in the next few months for an organization, and he's trying to figure. He says, yeah, he does not know if he should or not, and it's really like I don't know how to. Like, you guys probably have a better insight on that.
It is a really tough question because it's even one of those things where you have to think about of kind of weigh it, like how much are they offering, how much can a school offer. If
How
I
far
could
do you
do
think it
both,
can
that'd
go?
be great.
Mm-hmm.
How far do you think you can go? Is if it's something like if you have pro dreams coming in and you don't need a collegiate scene to like make you better, because that's what a lot of people are using the collegiate scene too, is kind of a development program for themselves as well to get that experience.
And I
to
think
become
that's a
a
lot
pro.
of professional sports, or college sports too.
Yeah, and it's also security too. It's definitely security. It's a fallback for sure.
Yeah.
And that's
Something where
going
you have to talk to your advisors, talk to the administrator, see if you can do both. Hey, more power to you. That's amazing. I know some orgs might not allow you to do both. So that's something you'll kind of have to like look at your contract, talk to the administrators from the schools that you're looking at, and just be open with them. And every school is willing to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring a
I think
lawyer.
it's-
I guess that's my
Bring,
best
bring,
advice.
yeah, that's what I would say. Bring a lawyer. Make sure you're not dropping out of high school for it. Stay in high school. Keep your grades
And,
up. You,
you know,
you
I-
need to graduate high school.
And I say that not because they're in high. Well, yes, because you're a high school student, you don't necessarily have the experience in the real world with contract and that kind of stuff per se. But just specifically in esports, I know just following some of the big esports lawyers out there on Twitter, there are a lot. Like you really do have to be careful with esports contracts. There's a lot of organizations out. Not every organization does this. Most organizations are good. But a lot of smaller organizations picking up, especially these semi-professional, not necessarily tier 1 players, they will try to sneak stuff in there constantly, and they will try to offer crappy contracts. And because of how young the average esports player is, I mean, looking at the Overwatch League, this is the only stat I know off the top of my head, it's the average player is born in 1997. That's my age. So, like, these players generally do not have the experience they need to have to be able to go over a contract. So 100% bring a lawyer, have them read it out to you. Don't be afraid to negotiate.
It's another career
advice.
path. It's another career path, isn't it? Esports lawyer, esports
Oh yeah,
agent?
that's gonna be big.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's gonna be big. Coming up
Yeah.
with all these, there's a couple of big ones right now. There's really only one or two big lawyers who are specializing within esports right now. And you know, if you can get in there early enough, honestly, if you can do contracts and do all that stuff within esports, that could honestly be a lucrative career.
Yeah, no, it would be
The
awesome to
semi-pro
be.
scene-
Sorry, go ahead.
I
I'll
would
let
say
you
the
go.
semi-pro scene is definitely an interesting place. I'm not trying to. I don't want to say that all organizations out there are trying to rob you blind, but they are.
Many of them are.
There's some shady ones out there, so it's something that you do have to read through the contract thoroughly. It's not something that you just want to skim over and be like in terms of service, scroll down and
Yeah.
forward. It's one of those things that you actually do have to read. A lot of these orgs will kind of look at it and be like, "Hey, you signed up with us." And you'll have like maybe like a 2-year contract with them, but let's say you got a really good offer by a professional team down the line.
Mhm.
Like, well, you have to buy out our contract, or no, you are with us until this contract's over. So it's stuff that you have to look through. If you have to get out, what are the rules to that?
And I've seen that kill careers. Like personally, just watching. I've been watching Counter-Strike for not forever, but even since 2014, I've seen that kill some young stars' careers where a organization will hold them hostage when they still have 2 years left, and by the time they're out, they're irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we got to watch. I mean, when you think about the history of sports, how very easy it is for players to get exploited by, by their organizations. I think that's something down the road that esports in general is really going to have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, 100%. And yeah, I mean that's really that. I have really nothing else to say on that. But that's we really just brought it to an end there. But yeah, I mean TLDR, you really do have to look at your options. Be careful. If you think you can go far with it, by all means do it. But be careful. Make sure you know the contract, and contact schools, see what they say. It really is.
And run it by your parents.
That's it. Parents are important there.
I understand they might not completely understand and all that, but once you start telling your folks like, hey, by the way, this is the money that I could be making. Once they see those dollar signs, they're like, okay, this is serious. They will completely turn once you start showing them the paper.
And that's something actually last semester for my final paper for my one of my English courses, I wrote a research paper on esports and focusing on esports in college a little bit and how it's emerging. And I polled parents. I think it was around 50 or 60 parents, and almost unanimously when I asked would you let your kid not go to college to play esports, it was a no. When I asked that same question again with I forget exactly what the number is, but I found the minimum general pay for semi-professional players. Like, okay, would you allow them to skip out of college if they were getting paid this? It was like something like 70% yes, 67% yes, something like that. So the money definitely makes a lot of parents open their eyes and say, oh, like, this could actually be a career for my kid, versus they're just going to sit inside my basement all day and play video games, and they called it something different. So having that money, having that contract, having the professionalism behind it will definitely make them understand. But yeah, definitely talk to them about that.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on that subject?
I think the add-on to that, and this may segue to a different topic. I think with parents, letting them know about the wide and varied career paths that are available with esports. You know, and our program at the moment, our school actually has a pretty strong, has several programs that actually pair very well with esports. We have sports management programs. We have we also have a really strong computer science program, and we have a broadcast program. So I'm hoping to try and encourage our students to follow one of those three paths if that's what they want to do while they're pursuing esports, and then eventually maybe trying to create an actual academic, esports program where they can take courses on top of that.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that you actually brought up a good point there. Referencing my parents, I started to try to be a competitive player. I was not good. So I was not good. I mean, I wasn't bad, but I wasn't good enough to make it at all as a competitive player beyond, playing at ESEA Open. But once I moved into commentating and stuff like that. That's actually how I found HSEL. I was commentating for a team I was managing in ESEA Open or whatever it was. Yeah, ESEA Open. And after they broke up, because it's an open team, they never last a full season. It's unheard of to have an open team survive, unless they're godly. After that, I really just started commentating on my own. I originally came to HCL and said, yeah, I want to commentate. Immediately, pretty much when I said I commentated Counter-Strike, there's like, yep, you're in. So it was early on. It's like
and I think it was only our second season running Counter-Strike as well. So
I think it was. It was early.
We needed Counter-Strike people. We needed people to do the trade.
Yeah, I mean, just finding HSEL eventually led to the internship, moving on to league admin, and now I'm here now. I'm the production manager. So it definitely there are opportunities out there. You just have to look, and that's something you share to your parents. Say, listen, I'm not going to play video games only. I could be this. I could be a warehouse manager for ESL. You could do. There are so many opportunities out there for esports. If you explain that and you can show it to your parents, I can almost guarantee you that there will be support behind it for the most part.
Plus, no concussions.
That too.
True.
Well,
I was talking to people about that today.
Usually.
Much safer than football.
Yeah, but, actually, that we had a conversation with a potential recruit with us about that, and his father said one of the benefits of it was not actually worrying about him getting a concussion or getting injured
or dying.
Except maybe carpal tunnel. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That depends if you make KNG angry and get too close to him. I don't know if you're familiar with the Counter-Strike scene, but as long as you don't make KNG angry, you're good to go. You won't have a concussion.
Yeah, your parents, like we said, they turn around. My dad, for example, he would always be like, "Oh, he's just upstairs screaming at a computer" when I was commentating. And like I remember I emailed him a print screen of the first PayPal transaction for my first paid gig, and that's when he realized, oh, something to this. Like there's a lot of parents out there that once you start talking scholarships, once you start talking the opportunities of even like, oh, they could go to the tournaments and potentially winning this prize pool, they turn around fast, and then they're all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do have to understand where they're coming from when they say nope, that's not happening, because from especially from them growing up, this didn't exist. This was video games barely existed for them. I mean, video games are so recent that for them to think about like, oh yeah, I could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars as a tier 1 player. I mean, look at I'll still mention the prize pool of the E-League major I was at, even though they've heard it 1,000 times. There's like, so I was like, oh, what are they making? A few $1,000s? It's like, oh, they just won $600,000 out of the $1.4 million prize pool. And it's like, oh, like it makes you step back. I mean, the international, $24 million. So, if you are good enough and you can't make it as a player, there are so many opportunities available to make a lot of money. I mean, I think it was Cloud9. Yeah, Cloud9 just won this major, which is an insane major to be at. But it's $100,000 in the pockets of, I think, each player.
Yeah,
it's insane, and it's insane how fast the scene is growing. Back when I was in high school, which was 6-7 years ago, I'm not even that old yet, but this was completely unheard of. Being a professional gamer, even like just being like a YouTuber and stuff like that was unheard of. Like no one even thought like you can't make money playing video games. And 2013
and 2014 is really where it started to take off.
Yeah.
2014 was the first Counter-Strike major, and Counter-Strike was one of the original esports. Besides Quake and Quake and Counter-Strike were really the two big original esports. And if you look somewhere deep in my Facebook, I shared a picture. It's a comparison of DH Winner 14, which I think was the first Counter-Strike major. It was in like a small college arena, not arena. It was like a small. It looked like a lecture hall. It was a small thing. It wasn't full. Then you look now, they're filling massive stadiums, tens of thousands of people, and they're playing for millions of dollars. So you look at the growth in esports, and you look at what it can become. It's still growing rapidly too. When you look at the introduction of things like E-League, where it's televised now.
Yeah.
So there's so much growth and so much opportunity coming out. It's insane.
And on top of that, because as we talked about before, we're not under NCAA rules, at least not yet. The college tournaments will actually offer tuition, money as prize money. So that's something that we can do that few other college sports can actually offer at this point.
Yeah.
And to build off of like the NCAA not being involved with it, I remember someone messaged earlier, I think it was Skillen, posted earlier about if teams are going to have to only play against college teams. Now, the majority of our games are probably going to be against other college teams, but we have free reign to join any other league we want.
Yeah.
I know Rutgers is playing in the Upsurge League, which is a bunch of semi-professional teams in there, and they're like in the top 5 of it. So we are more than welcome to play in any league, any tournament that we want to. It doesn't have to be against other college teams.
Now that's something that could be interesting to see, since we really right now don't have any regulatory body. Yeah. Are we going to be seeing some of these colleges who are going to be investing a lot of money into these programs, picking up and recruiting these kids? Because these professional players, most of them are college-age kids. A lot of them aren't in college. Are we going to be potentially seeing them picking up these crazy young talents, a full ride level, and having them going into massive tournaments and being in Counter-Strike majors and being in these top-tier tournaments? That's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see within the next few years, because colleges 100% have the money to be able to pick these kids up and have the incentives. Like, listen, we'll give you a free ride, you get your education, you play here. After this, if you're done, you'll have the experience, you go on to a pro team and continue. So it's really interesting.
This is becoming an option for a lot of players who are pro or pro quality players that haven't been able to sign on with an academy or a professional team yet. A lot of them, and this is something I think as recruiters, and not to give away too much of a trade secret, but this is something that recruiters that we can actually sort of play off of, is the fact that a lot of students that don't necessarily sign with an academy, or a lot of players that don't sign with the academy that are still college eligible, will look for someplace else to play. And if we can offer them a scholarship and a place to play, then we will have an A squad that's going to be at near professional quality. If if Joseph and I play our cards right, that's what we really want. But
Of course.
that is something to consider with it.
Yeah, that's something like he said. A lot of these players, like he said, are just on the verge of pro players. Use a college team to get better. Use it to grow yourself. That's what college is for, is to prepare you for after college. And a lot of schools do that with sports. Like look at a lot of the Division I schools do that with sports, making them better, getting them potentially be at a pro level. It's something that we're doing with esports too, and make full use of that.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we're gonna wrap it down to our last couple questions here. So, what exactly do you guys look for when you're recruiting a player? What attributes besides rank?
Yeah, I believe we said this before we got cut off, but I explained earlier how, of course, rank is a big thing for it. But what I like to look for as well is experience. If you have any sort of team experience already, be it with a coach, be it with just a group of 5 players that you played with throughout the HSEL or any other program, that just shows that you're a team player and able to work well in a group, be able to grow and learn off of each other. And that's something that's going to be huge for when you come to college, because if you are already used to a team atmosphere, it's going to go miles and you're just going to be able to jump on the team almost immediately.
Yeah, definitely the same thing. We're looking for, our ideal candidate would have at least some level of team experience. We are looking for strong, high tier players as well. Team experience is a big thing. I think for me, one thing that I would say that I'm looking for is you need to be, at least to some degree, untiltable.
Yeah,
because that is probably the most difficult challenge, especially with League, because I mean everybody tilts in League, but you have to be able to stay calm and look at it analytically, and that's not just something that I'm looking for, but it is also something that I'm looking to try and teach, when I get my team together, because I think that. And maybe, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think that one of the serious problems that the North American scene has is that our players have a tendency to tilt more than
it's 100%.
And that is holding us back from actually competing, and that's something that we have to overcome.
And that's in every single game. I mean, you look at every esport. Again, I'll reference Counter-Strike because that's what I personally watch. You'll see the European teams, they'll lose some consecutive rounds. They'll be calm, with the exception of like Nico, who's a god. That guy's insane. He's an outlier. But you'll see these North American teams, they'll be slamming their keyboards. I've seen them break keyboards on LAN. You look over at the European teams, they stay calm, they take a tactical pause, they calm themselves down a little bit, get their heads in the right place, and they go and they continue to win. If they're losing, they'll come back or they'll lose. But either way, they have their head in the game, and they have a better chance than the guys who are yelling at each other, slamming their keyboards down. So having the mind to play esports, it's like playing golf, and like it's a mental game.
Exactly.
I know people who, with golf, I know people who have been one level below professional. And you ask them, like, what's the difference? They will tell you that we shoot the same scores as them. The difference is when you get out there, when you have hundreds, thousands of people watching you, can you keep your head in the game? And same thing. It's mental. If you're getting mad because you're missing shots, you're gonna continue to mess up, and you're not gonna have your mind in the right place to get yourself back into the game. You're gonna stay out of it, and it's gonna be over for you.
Exactly.
People might try to argue like, oh, how can you teach someone to be untiltable and stuff like that? But I just say, look at Darduck. If somehow Echo Fox could teach him to be humble, you could teach anybody to be. Like, that is something that's probably the biggest surprise of the NALCS in the first 2 weeks, is how more composed and humble Darduck has been.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to approach it like the way I'm beginning to see it is it's a lot. The nearest analogy I can think of, you mentioned golf, which is one thing, and sort of something similar to that. I mean, I'm looking at it from the perspective of or as an analogy like baseball and hitting. If you're a professional baseball player, you're going to strike out a lot, but you got to get back, and these professionals are guys that are capable of coming back and getting off of a slump. It's that same mentality that you have to have, because it's the mental game of this, which I don't think there's been nearly enough study done on it, but the mental game of esports, I think, is going to be one of the most important things to cultivate in our players.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, totally. Last question here to wrap things up. It's the $1 million question. I'll start with you, Joseph. Where do you see your program in 2 years?
Let's see. In 2 years, I see us competing really well. I want us to be up there with all the other schools that already had the program. We had the infrastructure to back us up at this point. But not only us competing at a high level, but I see us running a few events throughout the year as well. We already have a lot of ideas of what we want to do in the future. Even in our first season, we have plans of what we want to do. So I see us running a lot of events and competing at a high level.
Great. Patrick?
My first reaction to it when do you see your college in 2 years, the first thing that came to mind is I really want to beat Columbia College. And now Columbia College
Did you
is
say
very
B
helpful.
or beat?
They beat.
Okay.
They put their program together in 2 years and won, like, I think the AGL. They won like a major tournament, right? And
Mhm.
we're in the same division as them, and I think one other school, which are like in the top 5. And I want us to be there. I want us to be up there, at least hanging with these schools that have quality programs. That's where I want to see us, in 2 years. In 4 years, I want to build the program so it becomes, I think, partially academic. That's something I want to see. I want us to be able to offer students the best training and the best facility and best experience we can get for esports.
Great. That's awesome. Well, it's been really great chatting with you guys. We'll just run down the list really quick. Joseph, where can people find you and your program?
We're actually on the cokercobras.com website, which is going to have all of our sports at Coker. You can email me at any time at jrudy@coker.edu, and or follow us on Twitter. Our Coker page is at Coker Esports, and my personal is at RudyCast. That's RUDYCASTS. Those are going to be the best ways to come in contact with me.
Great. Patrick?
Our school website is www.moval.edu. We just started a Moval Esports Facebook page and a Twitter, which I think you guys posted up there. Anyways, you can reach me actually at ocampop@moval.edu. You can find me here on Discord, or I usually have High School Esports open on Discord when I'm working. So you can find me there under, I think it's, what have I got? MVC Ocampo. That's what I'm at. I have like 5 or 6 different names on different channels. But anyways, but that's where you can find me. And I'm be happy to hear for any interested students, and especially any interested teachers and supervisors.
Yeah, just real quick before we wrap things up, we had a viewer question come in last second. I think at least one of you guys has it, but they're asking how soon Overwatch will be implemented in these schools.
We're already in the process of recruiting for Overwatch. The 3 teams that we've gotten the most sort of feedback on, and the ones that at this point we have very strong prospects for, are League of Legends, Overwatch, and CS:GO. So that's what we're looking at right now.
Also, check out NACE's website. That's nacesports.org. I believe they're running an Overwatch tournament right now.
Yeah.
And here at Coker, we're doing very similar games. Of course, Overwatch and League, which are going to be the 2 big games coming up. CS:GO in the near future, but for our first season, we're looking to get into the Hearthstone scene.
Awesome. All right, yeah, I mean, that will pretty much wrap it up then. That's all of our viewer questions. Let me just make sure the Discord thing... Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's all of our viewer questions, guys. Joseph, Patrick, thank you for coming out tonight.
Anytime.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Make sure you do check out our sponsors. We have Discord, Twitch, and Dreamfuel, and Gamaniac Esports. You guys can all go ahead and check those out. They're awesome companies. All of them support us very well. Check us out online, highschoolesportsleague.com. You can find all the information about our league and even sign up your school to compete for yourself. Last thing in this rant, you can be sure to hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you feel generous. You'll get instant notifications when you go live, and if you hit that subscribe button, you'll get some awesome emotes, but one of which being myself, another one being Aaron down below. Some awesome emotes we have right there.
Yeah, and then also the dab.
The dab.
The dabs.
The dab and the oof. My favorite one is the oof, not gonna lie. I use that everywhere. People always ask about it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. I know we haven't been on really at all with Homeroom. We are going to be we are going to be having it weekly Friday at 5 o'clock Central. That is 5 CST. That's going to be 6 o'clock Eastern and 3 o'clock Pacific. Yeah, 3 o'clock Pacific. We are going to be having some very special guests coming up soon. We'll announce. We have one in 2 weeks. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking about Overwatch League. We'll announce that one a bit later. You guys got to wait on that one. But yeah, we'll announce probably this week who you're going to be having on the show for next week. Again, 5 o'clock Central every Friday. Be sure you guys check us out.